Missions. All right, let's get started. So what I did is we've got a new database that basically looks like yours when you get started. And let me mute that person. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is obviously look for help. On the home screen, whenever you click on the help button, it's going to show you on my third monitor our support site. If you don't have a login and password for this, simply click on login, go to obviously support@archondata.com, click on log in or register, and register. We'll approve you, and then you can get in to our support site. The first place I always suggest our customers go is getting started. And always read key concepts, because with any system you're going to have different naming conventions than you're used to. So if you read through that, it'll make a lot more sense to you. Okay, so this can help you through anything. There's also handy dandy videos, and you can do searches. Okay, let's get out of there. The home screen of our system, once you get logged in, which is really simple to do, it's a step-by-step explanation. When you get your login and password for the first time, you're going to see this. And obviously there's the help button. Now the next thing that you're going to want to see do is customize your home screen. Okay, so I'm going to reset all panels, and if I don't want to see something such as yard view, I can right click and I can click on hide this panel. It kind of goes away. Right? So anything that you don't use, like if you're not doing any purchasing, you're going to want to hide that. If I don't do any sales, I want to hide that. Right? And if I want to put it back like I found it, I just right click anywhere in the gray area and hit reset all panels, and they all show up again. Okay? So whenever you get your system, the first thing you're going to want to do is set it up so you can use it, right? From the home screen, the first thing that you're going to do is click on companies, and this is what you're going to see. Now, in our system, YC1 is you. Okay, it's going to come to you pre-configured so that it's named your company. When you open that up, double click on YC1 and make sure your company's proper. You're the company, okay? And then you're going to want to fill in as much information as possible. Because it's going to come in handy later. As well as the billing information, your corporate accounting address, and you're probably not going to fill this information in. The next thing that you're going to do is click on image, right? If there's not an image in there, or if you want to replace your image later, simply delete it and then upload. And I'm going to go to my demo logo here and open. Give it a moment. Oops, I'm a spaz. And I'm going to save that and hit OK. Now all of my reports and bill of ladings and my receipts and things like that are going to have my logo on them. Okay. And because this is what you get when you first log in, you can either use this. Somebody else jumped on here. Okay. So you can either use these training customers and things like that to kind of play with the system, or you can double click on them and change it to something else. Okay. Such as, I don't know, new customer. Okay, and you can change their contact information here and billing information. Or you can simply hit new and create a new company, customer. They can be a customer. Let's try this. Test customer. And now this customer is an odd one because they're actually also a shipper. Okay, so they can be two things at once. And this populates drop-down menus in the system whenever you're choosing a company to do business with. I'll fill in the information. Okay. And when you fill in the billing information, it will actually auto-populate purchase orders and sales orders. So make sure that you fill in everything that you can, okay? All right. So that kind of concludes that. If you want to sort for all customers in the system, all vendors, all manufacturers, and all shippers, you can simply click on these, okay? And if anybody has any questions, you can just simply type into the chat box and I can answer any questions there. All right, the next thing we're going to do is set up locations. So just click on the big button, and this is what you're going to see when you first log in. Now, yours is probably going to be Yard 1, okay? So I'm just going to double click on that. Mine's called USA, right? It's a yard. I'm the operator. That's why we set your company up first. It's an active status, okay? And here's my shipping information. This is really important because whenever you ship and receive, you want your address filled out on all of your reports. So fill these out as much as possible, okay? If it's a well, then you're going to want to fill in the AFE, obviously. You can also put in a longitude and latitude, and you can use that later. Okay. No questions so far? I think you can also, if you right-click here, you can also rename this. So I want to call this the Oklahoma yard. And this is my main yard. Okay, and if I refresh, there we go. Okay, you can also create, you can create as many yards as you want to, or wells. So for instance, if I know I'm going to ship to the new well 23 a lot, and actually my customer owns that, and there's the AFE, I could do this, and you get the idea. Make sure you fill out as much information as you can. And this is just in getting started, okay? In a few moments, I'll show you where you can add locations on the fly when you ship and receive as well, okay? All right, so that kind of concludes our setting up basic locations to get started. The next thing that we're going to do is go to settings. And now we can set up our yard that you're working in all the time, okay? Default category, which I suggest, if you're working with pipe, I suggest that you just use pipe because that just kind of encompasses everything. We also have a few options down here. Now, the one that I highly suggest that you take advantage of is window display mode. If you have multiple monitors and you like to drag and drop windows around while you work, this really comes in handy. Otherwise, our system is going to create new tabs, and it's going to look kind of like a spreadsheet with a bunch of tabs at the top. Windowed allows me, with 3 monitors, to drag stuff all over the place so I can work in all different areas without having to open and close different windows or search for tabs, okay? So once you get your default yard set up and your default category, set your time zone, okay, and unit price decimals. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is go to our email. Now, if it's not already set up, all you got to do is click Enable Email. If you're using Outlook, just choose it as an option and put your email address in. Now, I highly suggest that you show the messages before sending. That way you can customize the email, put any additional attachments with it, or even add or delete. There we go. Or even add or delete email addresses. Okay? Now, if you're using something like Yahoo or Google or something like that, you're going to want to choose the SMTP, and in which case there is an article in our support site under help about how to set that up. It's pretty simple and straightforward, but it's going to take a few minutes, and I don't want to break the flow of this webinar. So just know that if you've got Yahoo or something like that, go to our support site and click on Getting Started, setting up email. Most everybody uses Outlook though. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is talk about checkpoints. And it's under Settings, Job Checkpoints. This is a very critical piece of this system. And really what a checkpoint is a basic workflow process, or it tells you what the status of your inventory is. So obviously we've got some basic settings, and you can see right here, exceptions are: you cannot delete received, shipped, working, and storage. Okay? Anything else can be deleted and you can add. I'm going to sort by the list order. What this means is this is the first thing in the checkpoint drop down. On order is number 1 in the drop down. If you notice over here to the left, we have some different options. Okay? The first one you're going to want to notice is show in list. Well, obviously on order is going to show in list, but I have the option checked to not show it as inventory. Okay? So obviously if I create a purchase order, it's on order, it's shown in the list, but it's not in inventory yet. Okay? The next one is received. So whenever I bring any inventory into my yard, it's going to create it in a received status. It's shown in the list. It is inventory. Storage obviously is in inventory. And if you go down to, let's say, shipped, here's the shipped. Notice it's in the list, but it's not in inventory, right? So you can checkpoint a job or inventory to shipped, and it basically, even though it'll show up in the list, it won't be included in your inventory totals, if that makes sense. Okay, now you can add another one. So in my system, I might want to put in, let me see if hard banding's already in here. Yeah. Hard banding. Okay, and in a hard banding situation, I want to show that that inventory is in the list, but it's showing up, but it's actually not an inventory because anything in hard banding is actually at a vendor location. Does that make sense? This pipe is at NOV. Okay? Or even better yet, vendor. All right. Does anybody have any questions? So keep in mind, whenever you create checkpoints and you use them, you're not going to want to delete that checkpoint later. Oops, I'm going to make that 2 so it shows up in the list there. You're not going to want to delete them later because any inventory assigned to that checkpoint will disappear basically. So remember that whenever you're setting these up, think hard about it. You can add more, and you can even change the name here, but you're not going to want to delete them. Does that make sense? Okay. And if anybody has any questions, you can just chat right now. Okay. So there's some great options here. The next thing that we're going to look at is pipe properties. Now, clearly, you know, we manage pipe the very best. So this is why, because we track pipe the way it should be. Under the category of pipe, we can look at all the different specifications. So the first one that we're going to look at is obviously size. These are all preloaded in your system when you get it. Now, I'm not going to deal with anything smaller than, I'm going to deal with primarily tubing, okay? So I'm really going to primarily work with 2 3/8 and 2 7/8. Occasionally I might have some 5.5 inch, just for whatever reason. And so I can delete all the rest, or I can add. I had some odd stuff come in the other day, some 6 5/8, okay? So we can add those as well. Oops, there it is. You can change it on the fly if you want to. There we go. Now we can go down the list and look at size, weight. And weight's very important because in our system it will, if you create your part numbers right and you add a weight, it will calculate the load weight by pounds, tons, hundredweight, okay? So you're going to want to delete anything that you're not using, right, and add anything that you need, again, okay? And just keep going down the list. Couplings and finish. Reject rent, vent. Oops. I'm having problems with my keyboard all day. Pitted, or all right, so we're just going to keep doing that until we're complete. It also has range. Okay. And that really concludes this setup. At this point, we can go ahead and start creating part numbers. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, let's see. Everyone's muted for now. I'm reading. Okay. Nobody has any real questions. So let's go create a master part number. Now, on any of our buttons on the home screen, you can right-click and do a multitude of things, okay? Or you can just click on the big button, and it will take you into the main window. All right, so I'm going to hit search, and this is what comes with your system. Lots of stuff that you're probably not going to need unless you're just dealing with tubing and casing, okay? So the first thing that you're going to want to do is, if you don't want these, is to pick one. Like I always use miscellaneous, and I click on that, and I basically you can hit Control C and copy it. I don't think it allows you to copy from a right click. So hit Control C, that'll copy that. And then I'm just going to go in here and click on that and right click and hit Merge Part Numbers. Now you can paste miscellaneous in there and type in yes. And basically what I'm going to do, ouch, is consolidate these part numbers down, right? So let's just take, I don't want to use pin protectors, so I'm going to hit merge part numbers. You can type in miscellaneous, and it's going to ding really loud in my ear. Hang on a minute. Ouch. So basically you're going to want to do that until you clear out all the ones. It's just the fast and easy way. There's another way to do it, but for me, that just seems like the easiest because there's really no inventory in here yet, right? Now the next thing we're going to want to do is click on New Master Part. So we'll talk about configuring categories later, but for the moment we're just going to work with pipe, okay? And we might create one that's maybe a general part number. It comes with some basic templates that you can choose, and it will set up the basics of this part, or we can just do it from scratch. Here we have some API specifications we don't have. There's some 2 3/8, J55. I hope I'm picking the right things. 4.7 pound coupled EUE. And this is the connection. I guess that's 8 round, right? And I'm hoping if I'm doing this wrong, somebody tells me because I don't always know all the answers. Condition, this is going to be new pipe, which is going to be quality of 1. It's range 2. The inspection is white, right, if it's been inspected. And you can drill down on some additionals if you want. This is ERW, I believe. And even a manufacturer. Okay. You can put as much or as little as you want here. The things that you are going to really want to put in, the minimums, is the size, weight, and grade. If you don't know, you can always put in, you know, K and K, unknown, right? And so we're going to hit next, and we can have the system generate it, or we can hand type it in. And the description is whatever you want it to be. It could be anything. It could just be, and we can change that on the fly for jobs. We're going to work with feet because I buy and sell pipe, but if you're an inspection facility or you know, potentially a logistics facility, you may just want to work in joints. This is really important when you set up your part numbers because it's going to populate like your work orders and your sales orders and your purchase orders, things like that, based on your part number settings. So if you're, let's just say, an inspection facility and you're only dealing with joints and you set it as feet, it's going to really cause you a problem later. So keep that in mind, okay? And if you're buying pipe, or if you're selling or charging for this, you're going to want to put your price here, okay? And then I'm just going to hit finish. And now I've created my part number. Okay, so here's a master part number, 2 3/J55. Now my system created that. I customized it just slightly. There you go. Here's the specifications. right? I can attach, I don't know, chemical composition specifications here if I want to, take a picture, what it's supposed to look like on a good day, and put it there, and you just simply click on the folder, pick one, and just attach it, okay? All right, there we go. It's a category of pipe. I can change that if I want to and say this is tubing. If you categorize it properly, it's going to make it really easy for you to run reports and things like that later. I'm not going to specify a yard for this because I've got multiple yards. Okay, and any comments you might want. All right, I can also put a cost and price here. So I usually pay $2.75 per foot, and I usually charge $3.50 a foot. Okay, and I'm going to hit save, and there we go. So that's really all there is when it comes to creating part numbers. It's that simple. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, I got one big warning to give you. When managing inventory in any system, the big one to watch out for is try to not create duplicate part numbers. It's going to throw your inventory off because one person's going to always pick this part number, that other person's going to pick that part number. At the end of the day, you're not going to know what you've got. So someone always needs to be in charge of managing those things and looking at them periodically to ensure that some of your users aren't going in there creating a part number because they think it's prettier with the, you know, hashtags with it, right? I highly suggest you keep it clean. No pound signs, no, inch signs or foot signs in there if you can avoid it. Keep it clean and straightforward. Anytime somebody tries to go in there and just makes it pretty with hashtags and things like that, it's just going to cause confusion. So there does need to be somebody to audit those. Okay? Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a new job with this. And I highly suggest just hitting the receive button, okay, and bringing it in like this. It's so much easier. We don't care about the carrier or anything like that. Who owns it is important. If it's your inventory, obviously, you own it here. Okay. If it's a customer's inventory, obviously you're going to want to choose who owns it, and it's going to be a new customer. So this is just really what this is doing, is bringing inventory into the yard. And I'm just going to say it's from, because it's the very first time I'm bringing inventory in the yard. Okay. Who owns it, where it came from, where is it going, and add a new item. And I'm just going to choose from a master part number. I'm going to type in TU, and it's going to find tubing for me. Okay. I'm going to bring in some 2 3/8, and it's going to find all my part numbers. Now I can drill down a little bit more and say I want 4.7 pounds, and it's going to find my part for me. Okay. Hit select, and I'm just going to tell it I've got 156 joints. This is tubing, so I always average it at 32 feet, or I could type in the footage here if I wanted to, and I'm just going to put it all on A1 right now. Okay. And basically what that's going to do is create the inventory in the yard. Okay. We can do that as many times as we want to. Does anybody have any questions regarding bringing pipe into the yard for the first time? It's pretty simple and straightforward. No? All right. So I'm going to do one more. and then I'm going to show you what I did. So I'm just going to click on Add Item, Add New, and I'm going to pick some more tubing, some 2 3/8. Let's see what I got. Some N80, right? And I can type in, I'd have to do math, 298, and let's just say a 31.56 average. There we go. And I could put that on A1 too. Actually, I'm going to put it on A2. And this is, okay. So basically what that did was that created the yard and the inventory. And I'm just going to drag this out of the way. So this is my part number. Back to the part number. If I hit refresh, it's going to show the 2 3/8 J55 under that part number. So in our system, I'm just going to cancel out of that. If you create a part number, right, and you want to see all of the inventory assigned to that part number, an easy way to do it is to go open the master part numbers, find that one, and open it up. And you could have as many jobs associated to that as you want. It'll also total up the joint count and footage at the bottom. Is everybody clear as to how master part numbers work in this system? No questions? You guys are so quiet. You must be muted. Okay. Now, let's see what we did in regards to the inventory in the yard. So we brought those in. Let's look here. And I'm just going to clear all filters and hit search. And there's the inventory that we brought in. Okay. Let's look at a job real quick, and then we're going to look at the finishing touches of starting to work with your system. Okay. Now, I'm going to double click. Anywhere you see a grid like this, you can double click on the job and open it up. Core concept in this system, okay, this is a job. And if you ever wonder where the system gets all the information about the inventory, where it came from, where it went to, time and date stamps, quantities, anything, it's all coming from here, okay. This pipe we brought in on a truck. Here's your part number that we created, okay. This is the quantities. It's 156 joints. Here's the footage total. Here's the average footage per joint. Okay. It's in a received status. Remember statuses? We put it in the Oklahoma yard and located it on rack A1. And then this is a customizable description. I can also put in here starting, oops. Okay. And I'm going to hit save. It also belongs to new customer, not Archon data. Remember whenever we brought the pipe in, we told it that it came from new customer. And when it was located in our yard, it was belonging to new customer. It picked this up from the master part number. And if we look at the specifications, it reflects the master part number. It also maps all the shipping information when we brought it in. And time and date stamped it. Okay. At this point, if I wanted to attach a bill of lading or anything like that, I could do that here. Okay. And if this inventory is associated to a sales order or PO, you'll find that information here. Okay. And there's some history tracking in there too. All right. Any questions about what a job does? Okay. You'll also notice that the load weights are over here and the cost and price are located on the job too. All right. Now, there's a lot of things you can do while you're in here, but I just wanted you to understand the basic concepts of it. Okay. Part numbers, jobs, attached docs. Okay. Let's talk about Pipe Explorer. So whenever you go to the home screen, obviously you can click on Ship and Receive, but search for pipe is probably the most powerful piece in this system. Here you can manage your data. I can look for all of new customers' inventory, right? I can check for archived items that have been shipped that I want to find. I can look for senders and receivers. I can look for everything in status, by status. Right? So if I want to look for everything in storage, obviously I'm not going to have any. But if I look for received, I do. Okay? I can also drill down by category. Okay? And control number or by location. This is obviously our default yard. Right. So based on the way you're going to use the system, you have some different options here as well. If you mouse over the column headers, you can right-click and you can turn on and off columns based on how you're going to use the system. Okay? I might want to see the date created so I don't have any aging pipe in the yard. I might want to look at where it came from, right? Or I might want to see something specific like an inspection type or condition. Okay? There are a lot of options. The original joints received, right? And even internal sales orders and numbers that this might be associated. Okay, so somebody said, let's see, Diamond. Oh, it's Carlos. A good way to think of it, master parts are the templates and job tallies are the actual inventory. That's actually true. Okay. So anyway, in configuring, customizing your setup in Pipe Explorer, once you get the columns the way you want, now currently I'm not going to be working with tallies, so I'm actually going to turn those columns off, and I really don't even care about description, and these I'm just going to scrunch up here. What I do care about is the stock category. Okay, I also care about date created, see where is it located, how much is there, and who owns it, right? And so all you have to do is click on the column, hold it down with your mouse, and drag and drop it. Okay, so you can customize this based on how you want to use the system, and every person can configure theirs different than anybody else in your company. Now, if you, for some reason, want to or have to share a login, it's obviously going to be, you're not going to want to change it, right? You're going to want to get it set and not change it. So if you want a specific setup, definitely want your own login. I highly suggest you don't share those things, right? Because it's going to screw things up later. So that's basic configuration of that. Now, our system is great because you can create a search and filter. You can see how many joints, right? And then you can also hit the button print, and it's going to print a report based on what you have showing. There we go. And it's the summary R8.1, so most basic report. Company name, the yard, part number, description. It's got the job number. This is going to be very important to you later. Rack, the status, joint count and footage, and the date created. These are great reports for you or your customer, okay? All right, does anybody have any questions about the Pipe Explorer and how to set it up? Right, so went through that, and then we've got about 15 minutes left, and I want to show you how to create racks in YardView, and then we're going to, I'm going to show you how to ship some pipe out and run a report. So we're going to go through that pretty fast, okay? All right, I'm just going to leave my Pipe Explorer open and drag it over there. YardView. Let's just click on that. And it's going to open to your default yard. Okay. Now you can also look at other yards, but it will always default to yours. Now if you remember, we located some pipe on A1 and A2. And I believe that all of your yards are going to come, your main yard is going to look like this, right? So let me show you where to go and get rid of some of the racks that you don't want or rename them. So we're going to go to the Oklahoma yard. I'm going to click on Child Location for Racks Bins. This is where they're set up. Okay? So if you want to rename them, you can. So I could call this oops. I'm a spaz. I always double click on everything. I can rename this A1 new tubing. The best way to name these is actually the way we have them named, or you might, most yards are like that. They're going to call it A1, A2, or W6 based on west, sixth one from the north. Okay, that way not only do they display properly here, because obviously it's simple, it's easier to tell your yard guys, W6 versus the 2 and 3H J55 8-round EUE rack. Doesn't make any sense to your yard guys. So I highly suggest that you keep them short, sweet. And if you want to position them in YardView based on your the physical location of the rack, you can use the XY positioning. It's really simple. If you look at this, A1 is, X setting. Hang on. It's 47 from the top and 168 pixels from the left, okay? And obviously the second one is 47 from the top and a little bit further to the left. So you can set your racks up to represent the physical location of the racks in your yard if you want to, or because they're just virtual racks, you can organize them any way you want to, okay? Another simple way to do it, once you kind of got them drilled down, like from A1 through A6, et cetera, you can also right-click and in YardView and click on New Rack. Call it whatever you want to. The EMI 4. Now our racks have behaviors, so whenever you drag and drop pipe to them, it can actually do things like perform a checkpoint, like EMI. So it's going to be really important that you set up your checkpoints properly before you ever go into this. That way, if you want the racks to have behaviors like changing a checkpoint to EMI, you need to have EMI set up first in the checkpoint. Does that make sense? It also can do things like change the owner. So whenever I drag pipe from here to from this rack to that rack, it changes the ownership to whoever I want. So if you're in sales, pipe sales, that could be really great. You can also change the part number. Let's say you're a threading facility and it starts out as, green, and when it comes out on the other side of the threader, it turns into something different, right? It can also change vendor. So if you've got a mobile inspection unit in your yard and you drag it to that rack, well, maybe somebody's inspecting it. Okay. And for this, obviously, I'm going to change the checkpoint to EMI. Okay. And then you can actually go back into the location manager and move it around where you want to, or you can click the arrange button. I highly suggest you click on the orient mouse. I hate that. And click here. Now you can actually drag and drop them around if you want to. The best way to do it is to grab the top left corner of the rack and drag it where you want it to go. Okay. I need to orient mouse. I don't know if that's as loud to you guys as it is to me, but there you go. So there you go. You're going to want to save the rack position. Never, ever, ever hit auto arrange. Oh, okay. So somebody asked, okay, where did you go to get this screen one more time? Okay. It's actually right here. So if let's get out of this stuff. So if I go to Yard View and click on Yard View, right, it's going to bring up the main Yard View screen, and then I just hit Arrange. Okay. And I hit Orient Mouse, and now you can just drag and drop. Dink. There you go. And EMI, I'm going to drag and drop it over here and put C4 over there, and sorting actually needs to go over here. There we go. Always save your rack positions and never ever hit auto arrange, because auto arrange will, well, it'll just lay it out exactly like you don't want it. Okay. So the arrange button is located on the top right. Okay. All right, any questions about Yard View? Yard View is awesome. If you're working in your yards, you can have unlimited yards in this system, and you can have unlimited racks. So if you've got 6 yards, each yard manager can have their own yard, have his default yard, right, and have as many racks as he wants to. And this is just a basic function of this system. Okay. Now, even the better part is when you click on the rack, it's going to show you what's on it down here. Now you can mouse over it, and it's going to show you 2 3/8, 4.7 pound J55 8 round starting balance. But it's also going to show you down here, and you can, like the other, drag and drop. Right-click, turn things on and off. Okay, so if you're working in Yard View all the time, you're going to want to organize it properly. This is also touch-enabled for tablets. Just keep in mind. So this is a really good feature for your forklift driver. If you want to have a real-time account of exactly where your inventory is all the time, put this in the hand of your forklift driver and yard managers, and it's a really great tool for them. Same way with A2. Now let's see if I want to drag it over to, let's say, this cleaner. Okay, all I've got to do is click on that, hold my mouse down, and drag it over to another rack. And if I only want to move part of it, I'm just going to say move by bulk. I can transfer joints and footage, but it's, you're just going to want to move joints in this situation. And I'm going to move 50 over to the cleaner. You don't have to put in a comment. Okay. And now there's 50 joints over here. Notice it calculated the footage, and the remaining balance is still on A1. It also has all the same information. Nothing really changed except it created a new job and it subtracted. Okay, so now if I look at this, notice that the part number is the same, descriptions both in received. Okay, in the Oklahoma yard, it's got the right quantities, and all the information is proper. Okay, notice that the original job has the original amount received. All right, now is there any questions about how this is used? Okay, let's ship some pipe and let's be done for the day, and then we'll pick this back up next Wednesday at the same time. Okay, so I'm just going to minimize this, or actually I'm going to drag and drop it over to another screen. Now, shipping. There's a couple of different ways to ship. You can use, obviously, the Pipe Explorer, search for pipe, and you can select what you're wanting to ship. If I hit refresh, okay, I can select the pipe that I want to hit ship and hit ship here. I can select the pipe that I want to ship from yard view and hit ship here, or the good old-fashioned way is to go to the home screen and hit the big ship button. Okay, so we can log our carrier. Okay, the truck number, truck driver, a control number. Now, this could be a release number. Our system can auto-generate a control number or anything that you want. But it really needs to be a unique identifier for this load of pipe going out. Okay. Now, I'm selling, or let's just say this is new customer pipe. Okay. So if I'm just a logistics facility and new customer sent me a release and I need to ship some out from the yard, it's going to default to my basic yard, and I'm going to ship it to one of his wells. Now I can create a new well on the fly. South 56 East. Okay, so that's the name of the well, and new customer owns it. Okay, the AFE is going to be 2356E. Okay, and if you want to put contact information in here, it's really a good time to do it, because this is going to populate your bill of lading, your receipts, your everything, all of your reports. So it's kind of important. You can cut corners if you want to, but it usually catches up with you later. And hang on just a second. And all their shipping information. Okay, and I'm just going to hit OK. And it populates. Now it's logged in the database. So you won't have to do this again for this location. So this is really important just for accuracy. It's going to not create errors, okay? And so at this point, we're just going to add some inventory. Our system is only going to let you pick from existing inventory, okay? So if it's not in the system, you can't ship it. So let's send them some of this pipe. They wanted some 2 3/8 N80, 4.6 pounds, some used. So I'm going to hit OK. And I just want to transfer some of it, okay? I'm going to transfer, you can either pick joints and footage, joints, or footage. So I'm going to pick footage because the customer said they need 6,500 feet, okay? Basically what that just did was it created a new job, reduced that amount from the inventory, and put it on the truck. So when I print, it's going to print a bill of lading with the timestamp, who did it, where it came from, and the status that it's currently in, if it's an approval system, where it's shipped from, where it's shipping to, the delivery date, who the shipper is, and the weight. Notice the training shipper, vehicle number 56 was Cindy. Tie down instructions if you have any. The total footage, estimated joints, okay, and then all the information about the customer. Notice the well, and all the information about the job. Now if I wanted to add another, some more pipe here, I can, right? So if I add it, but the truck can only hold so many, obviously. So if I wanted to, I can clone this truck, and basically it's going to keep all of the same information except for the inventory. So you can clone this truck as many times as you want. And basically it's going to tie all the trucks together on this order by with the control number. So let's do this real quick and then I'll let you go. Right click and clone, right? All the information's here. This is 57. This is Jim. Okay. Notice that the control number is the same. I'm going to add an item. Pick from existing, and I'm going to ship some of this new pipe there. And I'm going to ship 650 feet. Okay. And when I print, okay. But now wait, we want to tie those trucks together on a report. So if I go to the top and I say print truck and I print trucks by control number, it's going to tie both of those trucks together on one report for the customer. Now they can reconcile against the load weight to their invoice from the trucking company. And that's the basics today for shipping and receiving, starting out with Oil Country OS software, how to bring inventory in for the first time, where to find things, and how to ship it out. Remember, our support team is fantastic, And, oh, one more thing, always complete your truck. Just hit the big button and complete tallies now. That archives them. So always remember, you can go to the help button and go to our support and learning center, go to getting started, key concepts, critical. If you look at these articles in order, by the time you get to the bottom, you're pretty much an expert. There's a lot of information though. Specifics. You can always search for more information. You can also live chat with our support team. Okay. You can always call us, right? And I don't know where our phone number is in here, which means I probably should put it on the home screen. Okay. Oh, there it is. Somebody had the element. Contact us, top right. There you go. You can email support@archondata.com and we'll create a ticket for you and give you an autoresponder with the ticket number if you have an issue. But please, always remember, contact us, ask us questions, let us help you get started. And once you do, then it's very, very easy and simple to use. Okay? And if anybody has any questions, otherwise, we're going to conclude this webinar, and then I'll send out another email notifying you of the next one. And also, give me your feedback. Thanks, guys.